You know, we all use the term the cloud, but have you ever stopped to think about how it actually became the engine that runs, well, pretty much our entire digital world? Today, we're going to trace that incredible journey from these massive, clunky server racks to the smart, globe-spanning network we all depend on. So yeah, let's dive right in. To really get a sense of just how huge this revolution is, you only need to look at one number. By 2026, the world is projected to spend $3.4 trillion on digital transformation. And all of that is powered by the cloud. That's not a trend, that is a global tidal wave that's reshaping, literally, every single industry. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Even with all that money being thrown around, a staggering 70% of these big projects just don't hit their goals. So what's going on? It's proof that just having the tech isn't enough. You've got to have the right strategy. And to figure out how to get it right, we first need to understand how we got here.
Right. So before we could all look up to the cloud, we had to look around, usually at these huge, expensive, and really hot rooms filled with server racks. Let's rewind the clock a bit to the on-premise era. You know, in the not-so-distant past, if your company needed computing power, you had to build it all yourself. I mean, you bought the servers, you racked them, you cooled them, you managed them. The plus side, you had total control. The downside? Pretty much everything else. It was unbelievably expensive, and if you needed to scale up for a big launch, oof, that was a slow, painful process that could take months.
And this is what led to a total paradigm shift. The old way was all about capital expenditure, or CapEx. You were buying tons of expensive gear up front. The cloud just flipped that whole model on its head. Now it's operational expenditure, or OpEx. You pay for computing power just like you pay for electricity. All of a sudden, scaling wasn't some months-long project, it was a few clicks away. And all that headache of maintenance, that became someone else's problem. This didn't just change budgets, it completely democratized innovation. This is the reason why a few people in a garage can now build a global service without needing millions in venture capital.
The impact of this in the real world is just mind-blowing. As we evolve to modern cloud designs, the time it takes to process something, the latency, dropped from 45 milliseconds all the way down to just 5. And the time people spent just managing servers, that went from a full-time 40-hour-a-week job down to just 15 hours. Think about that. That's a massive amount of time and money handed right back to businesses to actually focus on building better products.
Okay, so this huge revolution obviously created a new battlefield for the biggest names in tech. This gave rise to the cloud titans and a super competitive new landscape.
Today, the cloud market is really dominated by three giants. Amazon Web Services, AWS, got a huge head start, and as you can see, they still hold the lion's share. But Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud are coming on strong. They're incredible competitors, and that competition is what drives a ton of the innovation we all get to benefit from.
So, what do these platforms really do? I mean, what's under the hood? Well, let's use Google Cloud as an example. It's not just about storing files. We're talking about incredibly powerful services like Vertex AI, which puts top-tier artificial intelligence right into the hands of developers. Or BigQuery, which can sift through petabytes of data, that's 1,000,000 gigabytes, in seconds. And then you've got tools like Anthos that let you manage all your apps, even if they're on different clouds. And all of this is running on a global infrastructure that is just immense. 42 regions, 127 zones, and growing all the time.
But the story doesn't stop with just picking one of these giants. No way. The smartest companies quickly figured out that the next big step was to use the best of all of them. And this brings us to what's known as a multi-cloud architecture. It's basically the high-tech version of don't put all your eggs in one basket. Companies now mix and match. Maybe they use Google for its incredible data analytics, but they use AWS for its huge marketplace of services, and then maybe Azure because it works so well with their other enterprise software. This way, they avoid getting locked into one vendor, and it makes their whole system way more resilient.
And just so we're clear, this is not some niche, futuristic idea. It is happening right now. A full 87% of large companies have already adopted a multi-cloud strategy. It's not the future, it's the new standard for building a flexible, powerful digital foundation.
Of course, when you connect everything from everywhere, you create a whole new set of challenges. And the biggest one? How in the world do you keep it all secure?
The stakes here could not be higher. Right now, the average cost of just a single data breach is $4.5 million.
That's a number that can absolutely cripple a company, and it shows you exactly why security has to be baked in from the very beginning of any cloud strategy.
To deal with this new reality, a completely new security model had to emerge: zero trust. See, the old way of thinking was like a castle with a moat. If you got past the wall, you were trusted. Well, that's totally obsolete now. Zero trust works on a very simple but powerful idea. Never trust, always verify. It doesn't matter where you are or what network you're on. Every single request to access anything has to be checked and authorized. Every single time.
All right, last but definitely not least, let's talk about the money. The amazing flexibility of the cloud can be a double-edged sword when it comes to the budget. So while that pay-as-you-go model is fantastic for getting started quickly, it can also lead to some shocking bills if you're not careful. This challenge created a whole new discipline called FinOps, or Cloud Financial Operations. And it's more than just a piece of software. It's really a cultural change that gets your finance and tech teams talking to each other, making sure you're getting real value out of every single dollar you spend in the cloud.
So how do you put all these pieces together? Well, the most successful companies follow a pretty proven roadmap. You start small, with a pilot project to get your feet wet and build a solid foundation. Then comes the careful migration of your existing stuff. Once you're there, the game becomes about constant optimization, tuning performance, cutting costs. After that, it's about modernization, rebuilding your apps to take full advantage of the cloud. And the final destination? Operating as a truly thriving, innovative digital business.
Because at the end of the day, this whole journey is about so much more than just an IT project. Truly embracing the cloud means making a commitment across the entire business. It's about accepting a fundamental truth of our world today. Every company is now a software company.
And that really brings us to the final, most important question you should be asking yourself. The cloud isn't just a better way to solve old problems. It's a platform that unlocks entirely new opportunities, things we couldn't even dream of before, from AI to instant global scale. So take a hard look at your own strategy. Is it just designed to keep the lights on? Or is it truly built to seize the opportunities of tomorrow?